Uh, we are audible, right? Perfectly.
Yes, there is a little bit of muffle, but if I'm audible, I think we are good to start.
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, it brings me immense pleasure to introduce Mr. Vipul Mathur, current business head of Udan. Mr. Mathur had 12 plus years of leadership association with Aditya Birla Group, where he led different lifestyle brands, including Van Heusen and Mufti Jeans. Also, he led the business of Above.com. He is an industry stalwart with strong expertise in merchandising and lifestyle brand management. He is indeed a business turnaround specialist. Before jumping on to our session, sir, let me give you a brief background of the cohort sitting in front of you. Masters Union is a first of its kind, technology focused business school that is trying to breach the practice and academics gap in business education in the country. This batch of 64 high caliber individuals are a part of the founding batch who have literally embraced the entrepreneurial spirit by pursuing the MBA program here. The individuals come from different domains like consumer goods, finance, IT, consulting, hospitality, and manufacturing, to name a few. They also represent prestigious colleges like IIT Kharagpur, BITS Pilani, SRCC, St. Stephen's. Some of the former employees of the cohort were Goldman Sachs, Swiggy, CRISIL, KPMG, ZS Associates, Deloitte, and Tata Group companies. Some of the students also have or had worked in startups. The average age of the cohort is about 26 years. That means the average work experience is about 4 years. In the coming terms, students are expected to opt for electives major, which means that your CXO session today will be a good starting point for the students to formulate their thoughts and mindset on how they will go ahead with the process. So on that note, over to you, sir, for an amazing session.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, Dharman, for a good introduction. एकदम तुमने रटा रटाया बोला है पढ़ने के बाद में. After a very long time, I've got exposed to something which is so formal. But thank you so much for this. I'm highly impressed with the set of people who are here, with your experience, and obviously first batch shows a courage that you've chosen to take up this as the course. I was asking Dharmal that is there a way that I can get into the first half or later? ये lunch के बाद वाला slot क्यों दे रहे हो यार मुझे? It makes the whole task even more difficult. And what I figured out is that was the only slot. You have some impressive session scheduled later in the evening. And I didn't want to miss the chance to speak to all of you because my interactions with Dharmal have been very, very insightful for me. And I was getting the perspective of how you all think, because I know you all will be leaders and CXOs and CEOs of the companies in times to come and running your own company. So, see, most of you, I'm starting this conversation with the beliefs that as far as the knowledge is concerned, you have more access to knowledge than I have. You have professors, you have Google, you have books. And can we keep this conversation based on more experience which I have? Because that's probably the value which I can add, because again, as I'm saying, that you know more than I do, or you have access to more knowledge than I have. Is that a fair expectations?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, okay. So when I was given the topic that how is the lifestyle P&L shaping up and what's likely to happen, I used my own examples, my own experiences as an example to do that. Dharmal, you'll have to permit me to be able to share this. This is called disabled.
Sure.
Okay, while this happens, yeah, thank you for enabling this. While this happens, let me ask you all a question. How many of you think you are reasonably fashioned? If you're not fashionable, you can keep your hands down. If you're reasonably fashioned, you can take the one hand up. If you think you are very fashionable, you can take both the hands up so that I know what's the poll. If you're not fashionable, down. Reasonably fashioned, 1. Highly fashionable, 2. Nobody believes, okay, thank you so much. Nobody, oh, there is a guy, the last benches seems to be more fashionable than the front benches, huh? Typically so.
Yeah.
Okay, interestingly, okay, is there a way that you can, I mean, the class can speak and I can listen, or you would have to come to the speaker and speak?
So, sir, this is a movable mic. If someone has to ask, it can just be passed upon. So that's how it is.
Okay, great. So let's give ourselves 2 minutes, and I would let this team ask about, okay, share their view in one line about what's happening in the lifestyle industry, and also pose something which they want to ask, so that I would know what will be useful for you in this conversation. And I have a small bit of context around organization I have worked with. I'll see if I can cover that up. So Dharmil, if you can help with passing this on to people,
Yeah, sir. Sure,
if
sir.
you can just say, okay, so I need two things. One is, what do you think fashion is? And two, what is it which you would want to discuss in this session today? What is fashion for you, and what is it which you want to discuss in this session today?
So the question is, what is a fashion for you? You need to just say one line, and what are your thoughts as far as the fashion is concerned about the session, expectation.
जिन लोगों ने दोनों हाथ उठाए थे उनको तो जरूर पूछना चाहिए धर्मल.
Hello, sir. My name is Rishabh. The answer for your first question would be that passion for me, I think, is something which makes you feel comfortable and confident as well. And my expectations is how do you, like people in the lifestyle industry, define fashion as? How do you look at it? So from the other side of the table.
उल्टा फेंका तुमने क्वेश्चन. I'll try and respond to it.
Hello, sir. Fashion for me is more about styling and dressing for the occasion apart from comfort. I would want to talk about slow fashion and sustainable fashion. Like that's the two things that coming up next. So.
Sure.
Fashion for me is about experimenting and being confident. And I think, yeah, I mean, for me, will want to know how luxury and mass fashion works.
Luxury and mass fashion. They're polar apart, but very interesting thing. What's your name, please?
She's basically our cohort's most fashionable fiesta. She's Janisha.
Such fashionable people learns our industry. So I have deep respect for people who are willing to spend large monies on apparel and fashion. Okay, makes sense. I think useful questions helps me understand how you look at fashion. So let me first respond to the first part of the question as how industry looks at fashion. See, fashion is a very, very abused, wide word which is difficult to capture as a definition, because let's say each one of you felt you are differently fashionable. And in my own assessment, I was looking at some people and I thought they were really fashionable and they didn't even pick up the hand. So our own assessment of how fashionable we are differs because of, on a grade of what can be called as something which is strikingly different and makes you stand out. On that grade, as an individual, where do you want to sit? Do you want to blend in and hence you can be at 0 and 1, or do you want to stand out completely and willing to wear, let's say, Govinda type clothes, and then that can be 9, 10. So that could be one scale that you want to blend in or stand out. Another scale is your own mindset of what is appropriate. Okay, so what's appropriate in Saudi could be different from south of India, would be different from north of India. So give you an example, in our observation, north of India, especially Punjab, wears very bright colors, logo tees, something which is loud and something which is which is noticeable. Whereas the south of India is contrast in all of these. East of India wears something which is more active because they walk a lot. And their inspiration also comes from Japan, Korea, UK. So if you look at people, Japanese people, they have a lot of layers because the temperature is like that. So there is a function of temperature, function of lifestyle, function of personal belief, and the societal view of how different I want to appear in the crowd. And obviously the kind of money which you spend on it. So it's the mix of all of this, and hence it's a hugely complex industry. Vis-a-vis, let's say, paints, or vis-a-vis, let's say, commodities, it's hugely complex, but you can cut it into so many ways that, and each of these bricks in which you would cut is meaningful. So now, just going back to a set of presentation which I have put up here, give me a sec. Can you see this on full screen?
So just keep it presentation mode.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure, sir. Perfectly visible.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this was a little bit of introduction, and something which I would also want to add to it is that I had a chance to work with brands, with manufacturing, with B2C and B2B, and hence had a chance to experience the whole supply chain or a value chain of the industry. I'm also a coach, trainer, and a startup mentor. I have interest in psychology, spirituality, organization systems, and design. And psychology more so because it helps me understand how consumers look at their own world and how the brand fit into that world. And I started a enterprise, and I have handed over to my partner, which has subsequently gone for funding. So I started and led a enterprise for the time being. How to run a successful P&L in a lifestyle industry? It's $1 million question. ऐसा मतलब इतनी आसानी से भी नहीं बताऊंगा मैं. It's $1 million question because there is no straightforward answers to such kind of questions. And hence what I picked up today is something called as anti-fragility. How many of you have heard about this word? And if anybody has, then I'll be keen to hear from you. What do you think this is? Nassim Taleb, who wrote other set of books, including Fooled by Randomness and others, is the guy who wrote this in 2012. Do you know about this? Because the screen is small, I'm not able to see you all. Let's try and see if we can shift the screen. Nobody. Okay. Okay. So you would know that there are companies which are fragile. If there is a shock, if there is a surprise, if there is a challenge, if there is a change in environment, it breaks. Okay, those industries can be called as fragile. Industries which does not break, which have ability to sustain the shock, can be called as robust industries, resilient industries. But this guy found another term, and I found this term very useful. Anti-fragile. It's those industries which under the shock or stress actually becomes better. And as you would make choices in your career about the companies which you would choose, I would strongly recommend look for these traits, and we'll talk about these traits in a while. So anti-fragility is an ability of a company to become better with the stress. So do you think our body is anti-fragile? How many of you think body is anti-fragile?
Body is a fragile.
Is body anti-fragile? Okay, some of you believes yes. Okay, so body is anti-fragile because if you go to the gym and put it under stress, it becomes better. If COVID attacks you, and your body copes up and it becomes better. So in various ways, in various situations, body become better when it is coped with the food. So that's basically the anti-fragility. In case of Udaan, there is a context under which Udaan was operating. I hope that you all kind of know Udaan. So Udaan is a B2B e-commerce company which Amazon for a retailer. I mean, Dukandar buys from us. When we look at lifestyle as an industry, of the total retail as a segment, what you see here in the red is the retail segment. Okay. Am I audible to the last benches? Okay, good, thank you. But this itself is a 6.5 lakh crore industry. I mean, the retail itself is too wide. You will see 65% is food, but 9% is apparel, which is the second largest of all. And hence, of this, about 1/4 is organized, and what is organized, about 40% is branded. Of the total industry, about 65% of business comes from tier 2, which is what you look at the left. Okay, so which means it is widely distributed. And between men, women, and kids, there are about 10 billion units which get sold every month. So which means it has very large consumption pattern. The unit size is small. Every unit which gets sold is getting sold at an average at a price point of about 500 rupees. So there are units which you might be buying it for 1,000, but somebody might be buying for 200, and then that's how the average becomes about 500. It's also very, very, very wide. So it has about 5 lakh stores and about 1.25 lakh stores of footwear and about 5 lakh stores for apparel. And there are very large manufacturing base, about 5 lakh manufacturers. So huge supply chain and huge demand and various kind of stores. And to all the stores, Udaan supplies. When Udaan said that what is it which is left with us for us to take care of, then there is something which is taken by Mac, something which is taken by brands, which is Fab India, Levi, something which is value retail, which is Vishal, V-Mart, and so on and so forth. Something taken by e-commerce. If you take this out, what remained with Udaan was 85%. And the strategy which Udaan followed to get to this market is 4 things. There is a marketplace, obviously. We also tied up with certain large brands. So Nike, Puma, Adidas, Hummel, where we will distribute them. They're called strategic pull brands. So we are going top down, where we're taking large brands and going down. The second thing which we did was saying private brands. We've created our own set of brands, about 20 of them in past about a year. And we are saying that we will take the small brands national. So if you cut this all, it creates a supply chain for all of these about 5 lakh stores which are registered on Udaan. Now, this looks beautiful, isn't it? That there is such a large market, there is such a large demand, and there is a company which has offering for all. But one fine day, COVID hit us. And all of this supplies, all of this demand gets to zero. And Udaan was sitting on large number of warehouses, large number of hubs, people and people cost with no business. And the consumption has dropped because apparel is something which is discretionary as an item. And people say कि मुझे कुछ जरूरत होगी तो पहनूंगा, सबसे पहले बच्चों के लिए, फिर वाइफ के लिए और लेडीज के लिए, फिर बहुत जरूरत हुई तो मेरे अपने लिए. This is the order in which apparel sales happen. And hence there are a few things which Udaan did, but I'll just play this interesting video. Give me a sec. Okay. It says you are in a practice session. Attendees cannot join until you start the webinar. Shall I start the webinar? Okay. Just try to play the video. For some strange reason, it's not picking up the YouTube. Can I post it here, the link? Can you play it in a while, and we'll talk about the rest of the things.
We'll play from our end.
Yeah. So I'll just place the link here on a chat. You'll be able to play it now.
Just yeah, sir.
Okay.
Just
Thanks for playing this. Coming back to the deck. Okay, so what Udaan did in a while is a true sense anti-fragility. They started to actually build up capability. They said, this is a good time. The market is devastated, but we can build ourselves up, because when the market comes back, we'll come back with more vengeance. So the top level hiring happened. I joined, a couple of others joined, head of few other businesses joined. We launched another marketplace company called Bigly. It's a equivalent of a hypermarket, which is enabled by tech, and it has started in Bangalore. Will go live for the rest of the country. We developed capabilities. A huge amount of work happened in this time. We deployed another team called service team. So all customers who were unhappy with us, we wanted to get them back, and they had gone away. So we created a team which was only going and asking them, is this what happened? Why didn't you stay with us? Can we do something? Will you be willing to come back? So that was a service team. We created performance management system. Earlier it was a flat increment, not dependent on meritocracy. So it is a structural change which happened, and a PMS got implemented. Organization got restructured. We said that wherever is the node where we want to focus. So the focus was front end and back end instead of central. So we created strengths at both the places and made the central part leaner and more tech enabled. We set up a PR team because we wanted to ensure that right amount of messaging is happening to the people who invested in Udaan. There are investors which are venture capitalists, or the shop owners, or the suppliers. Cross-functional teams and all of that happened. We cleaned the whole system. We said, if you are not a good supplier, if you're not a good buyer, we will go and hard verify you. One, by data. Two, by asking you, do you have Aadhaar? Do you have a physical store? Can we click a picture? Do you have a bank account? And clean everything which was fake, removed fake merchandise from it. And hence what remains is only the good suppliers and the good buyers. So the cleaner business. We reduced the cost. We stopped supplying to places where the cost of delivery was higher. We created innovative ways of packaging so that in the lesser container space, you can send more goods, which reduced about 20-25% of the cost of logistics in the certain categories. We also worked on deployment of the stocks. As we'll open up and the scale will go up, we have large number of warehouses and large number of hubs. Where do you want inventory to sit so that it is fastest? All of this eventually leads to Udaan being in terms of size same as what was pre-COVID, but in terms of burn, 20%. I mean, 1/5 is the burn with the same size. So it's a humongous, shift which organization made, and hence I thought it's truly anti-fragile. Another story about Mufti. Any questions so far? I'll wait here for a moment and ask if there's any thoughts, questions so far. I'll stop presenting for a moment and speak to you.
I guess so. There is no question as far as now. Maybe after Mufti, they can compile a couple of questions.
Sure. Okay. How many of you know about Mufti? Have you, or how many have you won Mufti? Okay. You've won Mufti. Wow. Okay. As a part of the Mufti, that's quite encouraging to know. So Mufti was an organization which was set up about 20 years back, and it struggled for a certain number of years, and when its retail boomed about 10, 15 years back, it went zoom, and it was making significant profit in excess of 20% EBITDA. However, in last 5 years, the profit started to come down, and it came down to about 1/3. Okay, so any company who's operating at a 20% EBITDA, when the profitability drops to 1/3, it's a very scary state. So when I joined Mufti, this was the issue which was looking straight at us, that there was a declining brand aspiration because new brands were coming up, either international or Indian. So Tommy and Jack and Jones and US Polo in the casual branded space. Discounts were going up. I know you all love discounts, but what it does to the industry is quite painful. Traditional channels were dying. We no longer go and buy from a mom and pop store. That's the most profitable channel. By the way, you know why that is most profitable channel? That's the most profitable channel because it consumes least amount of overheads to run the channel. If you go to a mall, if you go to a store, because they run overheads, it does not let brand make the profit, and it burns the hole in your pocket too. So the least profitable channel was shrinking, declining profitability, and the company was about to go into red. I think again a situation of anti-fragility, wherein we went ahead and said, can we recreate or turn around the business in 12 months? And
I'll just hold you. So which channel you mentioned that is profitable? Because we didn't get your point on that.
Mom and pop store. See, the trade business, which are the smaller stores, they are very, very low on cost and very high on efficiency on supply. They don't have large electricity, people cost, retail rent. Their ability to sell is very good. They're very profitable because least amount of leakage is happening in the system because वो दुकानदार जो है ना वो अपने गल्ले पे बैठ के काम कर रहा है. And the people, and within this group, if you come from a mid towns or small towns, you would know that that Sharma ji, Verma ji ki dukaan. If you go there, you will come back with something, not because they have the best of the selection, but because they have ability to understand what should they tell you so that you end up buying. So effective channel shrinking. With that, we said that we will have to get attention of the customer. So we went ahead and hired Karthik Aryan as an ambassador. Just sharing this link with you, and if you can just play this again the way you just did, and then we can go back. So Karthik Aryan was hired because she was considered to be an icon for a youth, reasonably fashionable, but comes from the grounds. Bagal ka ladka who dresses well. And Mufti wanted to be known as a brand which is anchored around India. And anyway, international sentiments are not doing too great at this point of time. So Karthik Aryan was brought on board, and 1 year the company invested money. Okay, so the company which has started to lose money said, okay, we'll have to turn this around, and we'll go back and invest more money and create more visibility. That was first thing which company did. I'll show you more things which company did. Is somebody playing that up? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you. That's useful. So what we did, we said this is one. We said if the imagery is dropping because the new brands are opening large stores, we would go back, figure out what's the new retail entity we want, and open as large a store. I'll show you some of the store pictures in the subsequent slides. We took entry into the new channels, e-commerce.com, which means mufti.com, exports. We work around getting the same consumer back to the store. So worked on the creating CRM practices, use digital, cut the data in various forms, and create communication which is specific to the consumer. I mean, scanning सुनने में सब बहुत आसान लगता है, but each of this is a Herculean task which needs significant amount of mind shift in the people. The product was little, let's say, has a trace of Gujarat and Maharashtra and Marwaris, which is little more flamboyant. So we toned it a little bit down so that it can go to the national level. Created new review mechanisms, new sheets, new matrices, use technology to, and all of this could only be done because gradually over a period of time, we could make shift in the way people were looking at things. So we again launched a performance management system. We created a variable hike, and to top it all, most difficult thing is that as I joined the company it took me about 8-9 months for people to believe that they can actually grow the company and make the company more profitable, because 5 साल से company was making losses or declining profitability, and people have started to, they've packed up the company in their mind. It's a matter of time. हम कहीं यहाँ बाहर नौकरी ढूंढते हैं, this is not going to work with us. So to be able to bring them to believe that this can change was, I think, the most difficult thing. But I think company was willing to respond to, and we could do all of this. It was a smaller company, about 800 people. We could do all of this in a span of 12 months, and hence I think it was clear sign of anti-fragility. Another sign was very clear focus on cost, especially when the COVID hits. Rental cost, warehousing cost, or warehouse rental cost, office rental cost, all reduced to half. All contracts renegotiated, either zero or no cost or deferred payment. Salaries got reduced. The goods which we were buying started to buy at a low cost. And at the end of it, what happened? I mean, I had exited the company and I joined Udaan by then. But I am aware of the fact that what happened with that is that eventually this year, Mufti will make the similar amount of percentage profit it made last year, pre-COVID, because of the huge focus on cost, anti-fragility. Company comes back, and as the business will grow from here, the profitability will increase. So the path of profitability which was going down has become stable and now can go up, at the scale will go up. So this is another example of Mufti. This is the store which we took up. This is CG Road, Ahmedabad. People who are from Gujarat, know this. This is a new retail identity. On the right hand side, so we created retail identity basis what we thought brand journey was, and with brand journey, consumer journey was. This is how the store looks like. Does it look close to Jack and Jones? How many of you think it looks close to Jack and Jones, at least in terms of imagery? Okay, I don't see. Okay, shall I ask it again? Okay, yeah. So what we said that, can we take the brand up to a level where it does not look like international brands? If all of you would have said yes, I would have got worried. Because Indian consumers think international brands बहुत पैसा वसूलते हैं. So we wanted to remain Indian, but we wanted to look premium and aspiration enough. So we packed ourselves higher than where it was, but lower to, let's say, Tommy and Jack and Jones. So this would be better than, let's say, how lifestyle store would look. but inferior to, let's say, how Jack and Jill stores will look in terms of the investment in the store, so that it does not, upset people कि ये इतना महंगा store है. There are other questions which were asked. I'll just try and respond to 2 of these, and then we can open up this for other set of questions. What are lifestyle trends? And obviously there is a clear trend around value fashion. And you know why value is coming in? Value is coming in because e-commerce has started to make us believe that brands can be bought at half the price. And I'm sure that large number of you are not buying goods at full price now, because the perception of MRP has got diluted. And as that has got diluted, what brands deliver, which others does not deliver, had also got diffused. And because of that, there is an upsurge of value, and also the industry is getting organized and so on and so forth. Consumer is willing to go to a better quality store. All of that, but fundamentally the dissemination of or disintegration of MRPs in the mind of consumer. A lady here asked about high fashion, slow fashion, and fast fashion. In India, the Chinese counterparts like Shein, Club Factory, maybe some of you are buying from them, got into India with the high fashion as a direction. Fast fashion is required, and there is a humongous success which Zara created with the fast fashion. They said, we'll keep on changing the fashion very, very frequently, at least the apparel fashion, very frequently every month. And H&M, I think, started to try with the slow fashion. They said, make Uniqlo and H&M. We said, we'll make similar kind of merchandise time over time, and you don't have to change the merchandise. To that degree, we have got to slow fashion. What we've not got to is that reusable fashion. वही गारमेंट फट गया है, लेकिन आप उसको स्टिच करा के दोबारा पहनने के लिए राजी हो, because you believe that you take pride in saying that I have used this garment alone for, let's say, 5 years. We have not come to that stage. Internationally, that has started. I think India will come to that stage in a period of time. Sustainability. All of the companies have decided that over a period of time, they will buy and sell sustainable garment. But my guess is that currently it is 1-2% of the total supply chain. And it may at best get to about 10% in about 3-4 years. So again, it will be a small component, but there is a trend which is coming up. The frequency of usage has gone up, or the frequency of buying has gone up. So people are using more number of garments. And we are willing to buy into the retail. And hence the retail buying has gone up. That's one list of trends which, and I think in the subsequent conversation, if there is anything which you want to ask, we should discuss. Another question which was posed to me is that in e-commerce, when everything is same, how do we create differentiations? Okay, private brands is a differentiation. Can you make a guess how many brands Myntra has? 26. 26 private brands. So, and about quarter of the business which they do, quarter of the sales which they do is coming from their private brands. So you have not realized that Myntra has over a period of time created these brands, and now you have started to end up buying those brands. So that's the differentiation, because nobody else has it. The quality of service, you look, quality of service Amazon provides, Prime and music and all of that. And eventually what they do, they create a glass wall around you. That if you sign into Prime and you put down to using Prime on video or music, you will not leave Amazon. So you would not know that through various mechanisms, and now there is food delivery and there is B2B. By everything, there is, it looks like that there is one thing which is, you know what Tata is doing at this point of time? They're creating a super app. That super app is based on the e-commerce companies they have bought, trends, and all of their, other consumer-led products. They're saying, or what Jio is trying to do, create one app which solves for all the problem. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to call as a glass wall. You would not realize, but there'll be a wall around you. You will not be able to go out of it. Social, Meesho, Glow Road, all of these are differentiations in the model in which the business are getting generated. And the sense of purpose, like sustainability is one purpose. And there are more brands which I'm aware of, which you will see in next couple of months, which are based on purpose, and they will come up. That's largely which I had in mind as a framework to share with you. And I'll be happy to answer what you might want to discuss.
Great, sir. It was indeed very insightful to understand the dynamics of a growing startup like Udan and comparing the turnaround strategy of Mufti, where the things went ahead as per the strategy and it gave the great results. A few important questions, since there are few people who are also looking forward for their startup journey and associating lifestyle as a business. They have a query regarding that. If someone wants to venture into a lifestyle business, what three advices would you give as a person to run a successful business? That's one question. Um Second question, which few of us have a query, is how to start a, since lifestyle as a business is a very asset heavy, because the inventory, quite great chunk of your investments are invested in the inventory, and the turnaround of that particular commodity is somewhere, it's a very issue and it's a bottleneck. So how to start a asset light lifestyle business wherein the fast trends and just in time concepts can take place and it can have a great turnaround in a very short amount span of time. Um, the third question was, as a as a stalwart in merchandising, what decision metrics are you following to make a decision whether to go ahead with this type of merchandising selection or not? These three are the basis of the startup.
Okay. So three things which lifestyle business should do. Okay, I still believe Dharmil and the team that most of you have the answer. So it'll be interesting to interact and see what, in your view, and I'll as you will propose, I'll try and tell you how relevant do I think these are. So I think the question posed is that how what are the three things on which what are the three things lifestyle business should do is the question which is posed to me. But I think we all know the answers. Aren't we consumers? Don't we see it around? Have we not just talked about it? So I'll be happy to hear from any one of you.
Hi, sir. This is Ritesh.
Hi, Ritesh.
One of the key things that I feel in the lifestyle business is the relevance. Like you cannot have old styles and selling in the current market. You have to be relevant with what is trending and which kind of market you are catering to. Are you catering to a tier two or tier one or metro? So I think relevance in terms of the trends, I think is what is important in the lifestyle business. This is one of the key metric which I think.
Indeed, I think very well said. Let me ask another question to this. How do you know what is the trend? Either you can answer, Ritesh, or anybody else can answer.
So I know because I was working with Mintra, so we used to have a trend analysis with WZ.
Okay. So ये cheating है ना? तुमको सब मालूम है फिर तुम.
Anyone else?
Usually, hello sir, this is Shubham. Usually,
Can you
for
come closer
me,
to mic, please?
hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
For me, trend is usually through advertisements and what my friends are and other people are doing. That is for me the trend.
You're right. So the question is that he's saying each places have different trends. Large places, mid-sized places. Let's say tier 1, 2, 3. Let's say metro, non-metro. Let's say east, west, north, south. India, non-India. Each things have a trend. And trend is what is being worn right now, which you rightly said. जो मैं पहनता हूँ, वो जो मेरे दोस्त पहनते हैं, वो सबको देख के मैं decide करता हूँ कि क्या trend है. पता कैसे चलेगा? मिंत्रा को कैसे पता चलेगा? कि let's say रितेश को, आपका नाम क्या है? शुभम. रितेश और शुभम genre के जो लोग हैं इस age group के, young handsome lads, what are they wearing? How will they know?
Probably
How will they
search is history on the website or app.
History on the app. So one is data. What else?
Maybe market research.
Market research. Perfect. 2. What else?
Social media influencers, what they are.
What they have started to wear, and that can become a trend over a period of time. Perfect. And celebrities too. I mean, social medias, we have various kind of influences. What else? Good enough. I think this is so you know all the answers because probably it is so simple an industry in that sense, but so complex because when you execute it becomes complex. Another thing is that what's happening internationally, let's say Korean fashion is coming into India. You will see a lot of or athleisure which is coming into India, which is either emerging from Korea or from UK. So you would know street is coming into India. Okay. So let's say what Ritesh is wearing has an influence of street. Abhi India mein hood nahi pehante the koi log, right? Up now every single sweatshirt has a hood. So there is a degree of trend which comes from international markets. There is a degree of trend which comes from the temperature, which is that as it becomes colder, you have certain kind of a trend. So temperature, region, and international markets also add to the trend. But what you just said is right. So we figured out trend as one aspect to create business success. Any other thing which lifestyle business should do? Anybody can answer. By the way, the guy behind Ritesh, the guy who's this table is wearing mask. That's also a trend, We sold about 3 crore masks last year. So I mean, see, it becomes a trend because it became a necessity. So designer mask, simpler mask, medicinal mask, various kind of N95 and so on and so forth. So that necessity also sometimes create trends. By the way, I'm amazed, but बाकी लोगों को necessity नहीं लगता है. कुछ लोगों को मास्क पे विश्वास है और कुछ लोगों को भगवान पे. Any other thing which, beside trend, any other thing which lifestyle should do?
Apart from trend, anything else lifestyle should look for business? What type of distribution, what type of medium is there?
Okay, I'll add few more things to it. Yeah, we have some.
So I mean, they can follow the trend or they can create a trend. I mean, that's another thing.
They can follow the trend or they can create a trend. Yes. So anything which is done at a very large scale in terms of visibility creation eventually becomes a trend. So that's right. See, also industry will have to look at where is the buying happening? Is it premium, mid, or value? That's one cut. What is the kind of experience which consumer is looking at? Is it the retail experience, e-com experience, ease of buying, imagery? So experience could be another cut. Fit could be another cut. Let's say in denims, we all know that we've started to wear stretch denims. About 15 years back, stretch denims was only available for ladies. Itna tight denim kyun pehenenge was a men's worldview. I mean, Levi's will make trousers which were straight. So men get into the slimmer denims, and all of those denims now started to have stretch. So fit could be another cut. So quality and how long will it last? Will it last for lifelong? I mean, at Van Heusen, when I used to lead that brand, our thinking was 100 wash के बाद उसका appearance कैसा हो? Who cares for 100 wash now? So what is the longevity of garment where you're wearing it? The imagery associated with it, is it changing? So let's say Louis Philippe had a certain imagery at a certain point of time. I don't know how many of you are wearing Louis Philippe today. Wherein in a professional setup, Louis Philippe was a very, very widely worn brand. Okay, so the relevance and the imagery of the brand. So all of these cuts eventually create what you can call as the success metrics of lifestyle. What was the second question, Dharmal?
So second question was more regarding the asset light model of lifestyle. Say for example, in considering lifestyle is a very inventory heavy business, is there a strategy to move into asset light model?
I get it. It's a philosophical question, and I think as management institute or management students, you should answer it. Let's see if you are able to asset light model बनाने के लिए क्या जरूरत लगता है, and this is an open question to all of you. Because this question is not for lifestyle. I mean, while it's for lifestyle, but it can be applied to any sector. What does it take to create a asset light?
One way is to have a platform created wherein you connect the supply with the demand, with the players coming in place, and they doing the transactions, and you carrying out just a commission. So it's a marketplace model, which doesn't need any investment into distribution, doesn't need any investment into the physical brick and mortar investment. So that's one way. Another way for the inventory drop shipping model, wherein you just have the real trends in place. You show the trends to the people. If they like the product, the order gets punched back to the manufacturer, and manufacturer ships the particular product to the consumer itself. So
okay, so you're saying using technology to integrate demand and supply could be one area. See, when you see the whole supply chain, you must look at कहीं से goods originate होते हैं और कहीं deliver होते हैं. इस सारी supply chain का, if there is a weight of inventory at any node, the weight of that node or the weighted weight of that node eventually becomes the asset or the cost or the working capital. Okay. Now, in case of sales, we have eliminated one through technology. Okay, but we have only eliminated one. So you may create a business model onto e-commerce and create an asset-like model, but that does not essentially mean that in the whole supply chain you have reduced the working capital, and it's an asset-light distribution system. So my question is that in the whole supply chain, how will you create a asset-light supply chain from start till end? And if I may invite the last bench to answer. Wait, ma'am, I think let the last bench answer. I just want to seek their attention before the lunch makes them go off to sleep. कुछ लोग तो सोच रहे होंगे क्वेश्चन क्या था यार, अब पूछ भी नहीं सकते, पास में से पता चल जाएगा. हाँ?
Probably have a drop shipping model where you don't need to hold up any inventory, just become a platform where you just get the orders and try connect the customers with the manufacturers.
Makes sense. Any other suggestion? Good suggestion. That you create demand from supply directly without getting anybody in between. Okay, makes sense.
How about creating virtual inventory, like have one and then do a just-in-time kind of production, so that
making no inventory. Once it gets sold, then create the inventory. So it's a negative working capital cycle that somebody has either paid for or booked for the inventory, and inventory is getting created after that. Makes sense. What else?
Good afternoon, sir. So I have a private label e-commerce brand. So what we do is we've actually communicated with our clients saying that if we keep the cost of inventory, it's going to be really expensive for us. So we are going to delay your delivery, okay? But we're going to give you high quality goods at low price. So we have a very niche customer audience that keeps coming back to us. So we have a return percent of around about 43% for our brand right now. So we don't keep any inventory in. And as we get orders, we give it to our suppliers to make it in a particular way. So that way, instead of delivering the product in 2 or 3 days, it actually takes us like 10 to 12 days to deliver it. But we've kind of established that if you order from us, it is going to take minimum 10 to 12 days for your order to come. So initially there was some resistance from the audience because Amazon, I think, has spoiled all of us for good, that everything is available next day. But now we have a niche who's okay waiting for 10, 12 days for their product to come. And what we've done is we've on our social media also, we've kind of created a profile saying that, okay, you really have to wait to get your product. So whenever they get, they're posting stories and all about it, and then we repost them and give them kind of like a community feeling that, yeah, okay, I've got this after so long, so it's totally worth it.
Perfect, ma'am. I think some of you actually can take the next lifestyle session. I actually have very little to add to what you people already know. So just summarizing this, and maybe we are also getting at the end of the conversation because of time, is that what we're saying is that any inefficiency which either sits in the manufacturing system, which ma'am you just said, which is make only after you have an order, or inefficiency around logistics, that goods may go to one place to another place and then reach the destination, and hence creating a supply chain system. Or figuring out that can you create one hub which is, crisscrossing all, and through this crisscross you find the least travel path, and so on and so forth. So they're essentially using technology to create inventory light at every node, eventually creates a light asset business model. Dhamil, how much time are we left with? I understand you also have a session after that.
Probably 10 minutes. Will that be
Okay, I have time. It's a Saturday afternoon for me, so we can go another 10 minutes.
Hi, Mr. Vipul. This is Ashwin here. I am an entrepreneur in a similar space like Udaan. I run a company called One Retail, which aggregates demand of independent retailers and takes small and medium brands to market. So my question is, in a scenario where we have companies like Udaan and JioMart, that have raised a lot of funds and that have kind of repeating a Amazon story in the B2B space. Do you think there's need for smaller players, to survive and thrive, or do you think it's a space that is better avoided?
You already run a company, right?
I mean, that's the reason. So to every retailer I go, the retailer says Udaan gives me 20,000 rupees worth of credit. I clearly can't because we're a bootstrap company right now. So the question is, there's a little bit of let's say disinterest from the VCs because they're all waiting to see how Udaan is going to play out over the next 3-4 years, because some of the VCs have already bet on it. So I'd like to understand your perspective, Mr. Vipul.
Okay. And there's so many perspectives. I'm just thinking, how do I articulate what you asked? Because what you asked is very live in your own experience. I'm just wondering whether I can add value to it. Let me start with asking you a question and then try and summarize this.
Yes.
See, these kind of startups have these possible outcomes. The first outcome is that you coexist with a larger player. You find a niche, either by geography or by offering or by experience. Right? The second thing is to get bought over by a larger player, because larger player thinks you have technology advantage, relationship advantage, product advantage, which is unique to you. And the third is that these small setups get wind up. Okay, they get wind up. The business is withdrawn because you figure out that it's not making commercial sense. So either you co-survive, you get bought over, or you withdraw. These are three possible outcomes. Is there a fourth one? Or in your mind? Ashwin, right?
Ashwin, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, these are three options that are there in front of me as well. But co-surviving is not an easy job. I mean, I'm bleeding through all pockets. So
if you co-survive for a period of time, you may get bought over. And then फिर तुम master student को खरीद लेना, you'll have enough money.
Yeah, I hope that happens someday.
But let's debate this out, because it's an interesting thing, and I think all of this people who have ambition of creating a startup will go through this. Let's do a poll, okay, Ashwin? And is it okay if we do a poll on this?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay.
Just quick one more piece of information. I'm in the F&B space, and that's the only space that I'm operating in. We have about 500 retailers in Chennai, and about 40 small and medium companies that are partnered with us.
By the way, just to give you a good news, there is another company called Dropshop. You know about that? They're into FMCG space. I'm part of a group called Inflection Point Ventures, and today that company got funded, I think, for about 20 crores, and they presented, and in the period of 4 minutes, on the call of about 270 people, a couple of them made that investments, I think 20 of them or 10 of them, and they raised the funds today. So there are people who are raising funds because they know that, and this could be their second or third degree of investment which has come to them. So I have been part of mentoring two such companies which were into B2B space. One of them was into Kirana, which is home and food, and another was on FMCG. And my inclination is that if eventually, either by efficiency, if you can create an evidence of higher profitability than Udaan, then you will get bought over. Or by virtue of heightened level of consumer-centric tech, if you establish that your tech capabilities are better than what exists with the large company, you again may get bought over. Or you may have capability to co-survive because the efficiency which you get from these two things is better than the efficiency which these, because at some point of time, Udaan will run out of money. Everybody will run out of money, right? Because money is a function of equity which they're willing to lend out. You get that? Each of these big companies, they have money because they have equity, and equity is valued in a certain manner. They're doling out equity to get that money, right? Broadly speaking. At some point of time, all of these companies who are loss-making today will run out of money, and they will have to create and deliver on a business model which is consistently positive and make profits and not make operational losses. Right? Now, when that day happens, the D-Day, if your system is more efficient, chances are that you will survive, not only survive, but thrive. So the questions which have to be asked is, are you more efficient? Or do you have a niche which they will not get into or they cannot get into? Or maybe there are a couple of more things to answer. But if you are taking them head on, then it's the game of money which one can invest.
Yeah, I think I have my answer. I'll probably have to work on on building a niche in terms of consumer-centric tech, because I believe efficiency is again a function of how much money you have in the wallet, because you will have to create that kind of infrastructure to drive efficiency. So then
not always, Ashwin. Let me differ. Let me come back to what's your name, ma'am? You have your own business here on the first bench on the right side for me.
So my name is Tapasya.
Tapasya. Okay. See, the model which Tapasya's company is following is efficient on one aspect. It could be inefficient on delivery times and stuff like that, but efficient. If you think you have found one lever which you want to create efficiency on, then money is not the prerequisite. We are often mistaken by मेरे पास पैसा होगा ना तो मैं efficient हो जाऊंगा. ऐसा नहीं है. ये दोनों अलग अलग चीजें. हो सकता है कि पैसे से आप टेक कैपेबिलिटी क्रिएट कर सकते हो, बट ऑपरेशनल एफिशिएंसी जरूरी नहीं है कि सिर्फ पैसे से ही आती है. सो डोंट गिव इन is my recommendation. Don't give in so early. You actually can create efficiency without having too large sum of money.
Mr. Vipul, do you advise startups in the same space?
I do. I mean, because I'm also part of.
Can we connect post this discussion to?
Yes, please. I mean, Dharmal has my details. I'll be happy to assist you in any which way.
I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Okay, last question we can take.
Hello, sir. So my question is, I operate in the handloom industry, basically, from home products, which is your fashion decor and apparels both. My question is, given the fast pace at which fashion is moving, every day you have, cheaper products available at H&M and Zara and all of these places, and really hip products. Is it even worth trying to save handloom because there's a very niche audience that will still pay a premium for this, or do you think that there is space for these industries to still thrive? So I have two cases here. There is one company that I work with. They make around about 70 lakhs a month with just selling sarees, but very niche audience, very small audience. And at the same time, I worked with Bewakoof before, and their top line is over the top with Tom and Jerry t-shirts. So, and I mean, so how do you actually decide that, whether it's worth saving this slow fashion, or you just know that, okay, this is not going to survive and you might as well move in fast fashion while you're at it?
सबसे मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इस प्रश्न का जवाब है आपके पास. But I'll try and respond to what I think. What do you think?
Sir, I would want to believe that there is space for slow fashion, but I think again, the companies are, in fact, everywhere we go online, everything is becoming faster delivery, cheaper products, price wars. So I don't see how these things, basic things will still thrive, or they'll just probably have a very small market. So then, is it even worth it? Because at the end of the day, all of us want to create big companies, right? Like I don't want to create 150 crore company and be like, yeah, okay, I'm done. You know, you want to see bigger growth in that.
Okay, so while you said this number, it creates a little bit of context of what I hear you say is, can I create large enterprise? Large enterprise is normally based on large consumption. So can you create a couple of Fab Indias? Yes and no. Because can you create a couple of Manyavars? Yes and no. So depends whether your ambition is 1,000 crore, 2,000 crore, 500 crore or 50 crores. And each of these are good ambitions. Because you might say, मैं 50 crore का धंधा करके 5 crore हर साल कमाती हूँ, and that is good for me because that does something to me. और मैं 1,000 crore का धंधा करके 100 crore कमाती हूँ, and it does something to me, and I have. Each of us. So I think the question which you're asking is not just about whether slow fashion, and I'm just ignoring slow, I'm saying whether handicrafts, whether ethnic, whether India, handlooms, is that a large enough market is how I'm using this as a question. Depends how large a business you want to create. But the answer is yes, there is a market, obviously. I mean, there is evidence of all of these companies. I mean, ABG bought over Jaipur, which was a 100 crore brand for, I think, 200 or 300 odd crore. They recently bought Tarun Thaliani and so on. So if you look at these, if you have a 100 crore company, you can get bought over for 300 crores. You can keep those 250 crores with you, and you can create another business because you have 200 crores with you as the capital to invest into the business. So depends upon what ambition you want to go after. But I think first the answer is yes, and two, this is increasing. So let me do a quick poll for you in this classroom. Okay. In past 1 year to the classroom, and especially to the backbenchers if they are with me. In past 1 year, so we are doing a poll for Tapasya. In past 1 year, have you bought anything which is either ethnic or handloom or handicrafts in a space of apparel or home? If the answer is yes, you can raise your hand. In past 1 year, if you have bought anything which is in a space of handicrafts, ethnic, or home, which means kurta, chandelier, pillow, anything. If you have in past 1 year bought anything like this, okay. So let's say this is 1/4 of a population. Okay, thanks. So 1/4 of the population, this is the population which gives least amount of importance to this, because they would want to wear t-shirt and denims, right? Which means chances are that people who have this degree of income outside of this classroom, they would have at least made one purchase, and that's a very large population. All I'm trying to tell you is it may not be very large today. It may be driven by e-commerce, and you might feel of the pressure of it. But if you're convinced about it, stay put. You will still be able to make money.
All right, sir. It was a pleasure to host you, and I'm sure you feel the same for us as well. And we are looking forward for your personal interactions at MUSB campus in Gurgaon. That's everything from our end, sir.
Looking forward. I'm equally excited. Happy to share this. As I speak to you, few of the things got clear in my own head. And I know some of the entrepreneurs are here and they have very, very pertinent and difficult questions to ask. I know जितनी आसानी से मैं रिस्पॉन्ड कर रहा था, मुझे लगता है आपकी जिंदगी के अंदर इसी प्रश्न को उत्तर देने के लिए बहुत ही मुश्किल रहा होगा, बिकॉज मैटर ऑफ लाइफ एंड डेथ. सो आई रेस्पेक्ट एंड डीपली रिगार्ड दैट, एंड आई विल बी हैप्पी टू असिस्ट. एनीबडी कैन reach out to me, take my number from Dharmil, and I'll be happy to assist anyway. Thank you, and have a good weekend.
Sure, sir.
See you. Bye. Just ending this call. Thank you. Bye.